Alrighty then.
We remember Carrey as a star of wacky comedies, but we all come from somewhere, right? And so did he. When Jim was a little boy, his father lost his job and his whole family had to live in a van for some time. As the actor puts it, it was a real kick in the balls. But that wasn't the only trouble Jim had to go through as a child. When he was little, his mom was sick and all he wanted to do was to help her feel better. And that's how young Jim discovered his talent. Basically, I think she laid in bed and took a lot of pain pills. And I used to go in there and do impressions of praying mantises and weird things and whatever. I'd bounce off the walls and throw myself down the stairs to make her feel better, Carrey revealed in 2004. Sure, it was a dark period for the young boy, but he made the best lemonade out of those lemons because it eventually turned him into one of the greatest comic actors in Hollywood. At some point, Jim couldn't keep his talent to himself. By the time he turned 17, he had already started honing his skills in comedy clubs and TV shows.
Hey, buddy, do you find it unusually windy today?
And it didn't take him long to turn to the big screen. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Execute a button hook pattern super slow-mo.
The Mask.
We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking.
Dumb and Dumber.
That's it. I've had it with this dump!
These films became classics. Jim quickly won over the hearts of the audience and of women. The actor has been married twice. His first wife was a former actress Melissa Walmer. He had a daughter Jane with her, who remains his only child. After Carrey divorced Melissa, he married his Dumb and Dumber co-star Lauren Holly, but this marriage also didn't last. He also dated Renee Zellweger and Jenny McCarthy. It's safe to say that in the 90s, Carrey dominated the comedy sphere in Hollywood, making one successful film after another. He seemed to keep getting funnier and funnier. But at some point, making people laugh stopped satisfying Jim, and he decided to try himself as a dramatic actor. That's a tough call, right? It's often hard to picture a comedic actor in a drama, and Jim soon discovered that. I ran into a lot of criticism. Be the comedian, like why is he trying to do that? They're all trying to do that kind of thing, the actor shared. But he kept on believing that he'd managed to show his dramatic side, and he kinda did it successfully more than once. Carrey's first dramatic performance was in The Truman Show, and it was amazing.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Jim even won a Golden Globe for the Best Actor for his role. In his acceptance speech, he thanked director Peter Weir for seeing in him more than just funny faces. But being a comedian at heart, he couldn't stop making the audience laugh.
It's gonna be so hard to talk out of my ass after this.
The next year, Carrey received another Golden Globe for The Man on the Moon. Although this role was dramatic, the film was placed into the category musical or comedy. In his acceptance speech, Jim even joked at the category, was confused, but agreed just to go with it. Yeah, does it really matter? Main thing is that he got the award, right? Jim's next drama, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, was also praised by the critics, but just when it seemed that Carrey had successfully put his slapstick comedy days behind him, the audience started loving him less. His psychological thriller, The Number 23, was far from being a hit, while many other films that he was in received mixed reviews. And at the same time, filmmakers started calling him a difficult actor to work with. But you could actually understand why, as Jim wasn't exactly having the time of his life back then. He was depressed for quite a while and even had to take Prozac on a regular basis. And in September 2015, his ex-girlfriend Catriona White passed away from a prescription drug overdose, and the police said that she committed suicide. Carrey had a good relationship with her and was one of the pallbearers at the funeral. And as if her death wasn't already hard enough for the actor, Catriona's parents decided to sue him, alleging that he was the one who provided her with pills. Of course, Carrey was outraged over these accusations and immediately issued a statement saying, "It would be easy for me to get into the back room with the man's lawyer and make this go away. But there are some moments in life when you have to stand up and defend your honor against the evil in this world." After a year-long legal battle, the lawsuit was dismissed, but it still left a stain on Jim's reputation. And yet, it seemed like he didn't really care anymore about not getting as many roles as he did in the past. After all, he took another path at some point, a spiritual one. Spirituality wasn't something new for Jim, because even back in 1997, he spoke to Oprah Winfrey about the law of attraction. You know, the philosophy that your thoughts create your experience? Back then, he told Oprah a story about how he visualized his successful career, wrote himself a $10 million check, and then actually received it for one of his roles in Dumb and Dumber.
That's the thing, you can't just visualize and then, go eat a sandwich.
You can call it a coincidence, but whatever. For a while, Carrey had also been practicing transcendental meditation, which is practiced by many other celebrities too, including Katy Perry, Hugh Jackman, Tom Hanks, Oprah, and even David Lynch. As Jim said in one of his interviews, he draws his strengths from his spiritual side. And he even had a secret spot in Los Angeles where he goes to shut off from the rest of the world. This is my spot. This is the center of the universe, Carrey shared. This is where I hang out with Buddha and Krishna, and you know, all those guys. Carrey's spiritual quest led to an existential revolution in him, and eventually it all came down to one very bizarre interview at New York Fashion Week in 2017. Although a few years have passed, people still can't forget this interview.
I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red ass that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off.
And it just keeps getting better.
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream.
There's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
But if you ask me, the best part was this.
I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
And the look on this lady's face was priceless. She was totally not ready for this. After the interview, the internet was divided by two sides. One thought that Jim had completely lost his mind, while the other claimed that he actually revealed the truth about our existence. Whose side are you on? Share in the comments below. But before you do, think about it. Do these fashion shows really have a meaning? And does it make any sense to call someone an icon? Or should things be deeper than that, as Jim puts it? If you're still scratching your head over this, let's see what the actor himself had to say about this. As the actor, Carrey explained that he'd play his characters, but when he'd go deep enough
into those characters, you realize that your own character is pretty thin to begin with.
It'd make him question who Jim Carrey actually was.
Jim Carrey is a great character, and I was lucky to get the part. But I don't think of that as me anymore. I used to be a guy who was experiencing the world, and now I feel like the world and the universe experiencing a guy.
And here is the conclusion he came to. There is just a relative manifestation of consciousness appearing, and someone gave him a name, a religion, a nationality, and he clustered those together into something that's supposed to be a personality, but it doesn't actually exist. I know, if you never thought about such things, it might be a real brain breaker, but that's Jim's experience. Now let's see what it has to do with him not getting cast in movies these days. One thing is for sure, Jim Carrey stopped making us laugh as much as he did in the 90s. Although he did take part in a few recent projects, including Sonic the Hedgehog, live-action movie, and the comedy drama series Kidding. These days we can see a deeper persona under the disguise of a guy with a tremendous sense of humor. Carrey started defying us and making us think about the absurdity of the world. And it makes us question, did Jim just stop getting roles, or did he quit Hollywood himself? Well, probably he doesn't get many offers these days, but he couldn't care less about that. 4 years ago, Carrey hinted that his days as a comedy megastar were over. I'm not hungry anymore, he said. I've done it all. You see, not everyone wants more than they already have. Jim Carrey, for one, seems to be happy with what he has. I want to be the greatest actor that ever lived. Frankly, I'd love that, but I don't need to be. I just want to be here. That's it, he shared in another interview. But having no more acting ambitions isn't the only reason why Carrey withdrew from the public eye. He also did it because he didn't like what was happening in Hollywood with, as he says, corporations taking over everything. But it doesn't mean that he has quit for good. He just had another approach. Instead of looking for new roles, he waits for them to show up. Projects find you when you're ready to express them, Jim explained. So what's he doing while waiting for new projects to find him? Well, he keeps on creating. And one of his hobbies is art. For a few years, he's been posting a lot of politically charged colorful artwork that contain lots of caricatures on the ex-president of the United States. I suppose you know which one I'm talking about. He even had his art collection on display at the art gallery in Los Angeles. And of course, Carrey's contribution to comedy will never be forgotten. In 2018, he received the Charlie Chaplin Britannia Award for Excellence in Comedy, an honor that was previously given to Ben Stiller, Amy Schumer, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Jim's been through a lot. Depression, loss of loved ones, being misunderstood, but he keeps on going because he's stronger than he seems. And he knows that it's all worth it. And once he said in the interview, life is too beautiful. If you like this story about Jim Carrey, you should watch our video about Brendan Fraser. And as always, stay awesome.